Hello, and thank you so much for attending today the Rupert Coffee Shop Read, Listen, Watch series. Today, I am so honored to have an amazing topic on vegetative roofing, and welcoming today Roxanne Miller, Tom Stewie both with Soprema, and Greg Raymond with Eco Gardens. And we are today really looking forward to talking about how contractors can get more involved and add vegetative roofing, garden roofs, green roofs, whatever you want to call them, to their offerings. And it is a hot topic. Let me tell you, we're hearing about it from the new administration, all the things that are going on with sustainability, obviously this next generation. So this is your chance today to really talk to the professionals and find out how you can get this to be part of your business. So first of all, I would like to introduce, and I think we may have lost Roxanne. I'm hoping we didn't, but
I'm still here.
okay.
My webcam seems to have a problem, but I will be here and try to fix it as we go.
Perfect. And Roxanne, I'm thrilled to have you here. Roxanne Miller is a landscape architect, horticulturist, and a green roof specialist. She works with Sopra Nature Business Development and really has been making a huge push on the sustainability. Working with Soprema Canada along now, talking to us in the US. So Roxanne, while you're fixing your webcam, we'll keep going, and thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure.
Awesome. I'd next like to introduce Tom Stewie. Tom is a senior product manager. He's a team lead at Soprema. He has more than 15 years working with all of the great products. And for all of you who know out there, Soprema is always innovating, always on the front end. So Tom, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your knowledge.
Yeah, thank you.
And finally, I would like to introduce Greg Raymond. Greg Raymond is with Eco Gardens, and he designs and installs green roofs. So you're going to be able to hear it straight from someone who's done it and is doing it, and really creating some great, beautiful vegetative roofs. So we're really excited to hear what your wisdom is and how contractors can get more involved. Greg, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So before we get started, because we've got all kinds of questions, we've got a great presentation today. But before we get started, let's go through just a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, as you all know, this is being recorded. So you can share this, you can get it out to your team members, share it with other professionals in the industry. It's all available under the Read, Listen, Watch section of rooferscoffeeshop.com. And it will be on there probably within 24 hours. Also, we love questions. So please put your questions into the question box. We'll save them for the end. We'll leave about 10 minutes or so to talk through all your questions and anything you have for these experts. Finally, please be sure to, if you have any additional questions or chats, we will have information on how you can reach these experts after the RLW. So thank you all so much again for being here. And I think we'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing we want to start with is we really want to talk about sustainability trends and statistics. There is so much going on out there that people are not even aware of. Roofing contractors aren't aware how much opportunity is really starting. So I want to ask Roxanne, who is working in this every single day, to share with us some of the trends and statistics that you're seeing.
Yes, thanks, Heidi. Unfortunately, the webcam isn't working, but at least the mic does.
Perfect.
So yeah, green roofing is definitely not a new trend. We don't hear about it as much in North America as we do in Europe, mostly because we have a lot of land, a lot of ways to infiltrate our rainwater and to manage it. But more and more it's being talked about, it's being discussed, it's being installed. And as it moves forward and the market is thriving, we see that urban problematics, environmental crisis are kind of echoed in what statistics we see in green roofing, because the main purpose of green roof, yes, can be seen as aesthetic if you are going to have access to your roof or going to make a livable space. But once foremost, it is used as an environmental solution, a way to mitigate stormwater management, which is becoming quite a problem for a lot of urban infrastructure that do not have the capacity to process all of the rainwater that falls on a certain area in an urban center, mostly when everything is impermeable surfaces. So stormwater management is definitely becoming a hot topic in green roofing. Therefore, we move forward with green roof that also incorporates what we call blue roof system. So our temporary stockage facility for rainwater, and then the green roof will absorb a part of the rainwater that falls. And when it's designed properly, it can reduce the size of cistern that you might need, and it will definitely bring less pressure to the urban infrastructure. So we even see cities now that are starting to incorporate a lot of mandated policy about how much water you need to infiltrate on site when you have a building, how much volume you and debit that you are, the flow that you are allowed to let go to the drain system in what amount of time. So green roofs and blue roofs are definitely a great way to mitigate the stormwater episodes that we have. Another great topic that is definitely trending is biodiversity. When we mineralize a lot of spaces, we tend to go to urban designer to do design for new streets, new buildings, new landscape. And a lot of the times it's very similar plans. We know municipality will use maybe an array or 5 or 10 different species of trees or wild grasses or flowering perennials. We know that these are very rustic, that they will survive through winter, that they will survive harsh condition. And this happens on green roofs also. The environment on a green roof is so hostile, and a lot of the time very little maintenance is done because these are not easy to access spaces. So in order to make sure that the green roof thrive, we narrowed it down over the years and decades to a couple of different species of perennial that we know survive really well on green roof. But the consequence of this is that a lot of green roofs will have the same type of plants and will not bring as much biodiversity to the urban landscape as they could, and will not become the nice environment for nesting birds, for pollinators. So biodiversity, as for the aesthetic aspect as well as all of the environmental impacts that it can have, is something very, very hot as a topic, and is creating beautiful landscape on rooftops. When we start to learn and educate ourselves when we see a field, that it's not just a wild grown field that should be cut down, but is actually a habitat for a lot of different plants and birds and insect species.
Yes.
And finally, yeah, for building owners, promoters, and installers, something that they will probably come across or have started to come across are mandated green roof policies. So a lot of cities will have mandated green roofs in very specific parts of their territory. Mostly the most impermeable surfaces, mineralized part of the city will have mandated green roofs. And these are for two reasons. One will be the stormwater management capacity of those, and also to mitigate the urban heat island effect. So these are all benefits that we have known that green roof can bring. We've known the green roofs have always done these, but these are just topics that, because these are the biggest problem that we face in our urban community, that we are talking more and more about now.
And Roxanne, it seems to me that as you look at this is also a large opportunity for roofing contractors who want to get into green roofs, in the fact that there's going to be obviously a demand for stormwater, for mandated green roofs, and to also just aesthetically, as people are looking for beautiful places on the roofs where they live. Are you seeing that kind of driving the demand increasing for this?
Yeah, I will have to say that it might not, the demand might not be coming from contractors. As we all know, everyone is overloaded with work, and what the core of your business is doing is probably booming now. So everything that is kind of quite innovative is maybe something that comes from your company being faced with specification documents that require this green roof, or designers or clients that want to push these solutions and inquire if you have the ability or the workmanship to and the knowledge to do these type of works. So I believe that contractors are faced with projects that have green roofs in the specification and the plan and design, and learn to install and learn about all the benefits. And once it's kind of settled into their business model and how they work on site, then yes, they start to promote it. But I believe that design, for sure, designers and urban planners are the one pushing this.
Yes, yeah, that and exactly, and it's going to be coming the way of the contractors when they have, I mean, with the backlogs and everything that's right now. But this is something to be aware of, and really in looking at this, Greg, you live and breathe this every single day, and you're part of this. So can you share how contractors can really look at adding vegetative roofs to their business?
Sure. I mean, I think the first and foremost thing is don't shy away from it. I think it's embrace it. I think that as I told a lot of roofing colleagues or contractors that I deal with, is that if they can waterproof a building or install a roofing membrane, then they can definitely handle the intricacies of installing a green roof. I mean, it's not rocket science. It definitely requires some skill and some new learning, but I think it's an opportunity to expand their business, and really looking at a market segment that's not going away. Stormwater is only getting worse in terms of stormwater management, and it's being required more and more by not only major urban cities, but even secondary urban cities as well.
And how do you see, I mean, one of the things I know that you've talked about is really having contractors think about starting a green roof division in their company. How does that work?
I mean, I think it's something that you, depending on the market. I mean, if you look at a market like DC, where green roofs are mandated, and there's a significant penalty if you don't do a green roof or manage your stormwater on site, that it's kind of low-hanging fruit. So if you're looking to expand or integrate more of the work within your company, it is something to consider hiring either an ex-landscape contractor that's done green roofs, or a horticulturist, or someone that has a good skill set. And it could be even someone that's already doing roofing that transitions into the green roof side of it. And there's some significant contractors right now that are in markets like DC and Chicago that have embraced the what I would call the green arts versus the black arts, and having either a division or at least a lead person heading up that green roof division.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me too, because really it is a specialty, and there's a lot of people out there who, when they can understand both the roof and the landscaping and bringing all that together, that makes a company very valuable to the design community.
It is, and you're already on the roof. I mean, I look at, and we as a company, contractor. I mean, one of our selling points from maintenance or stewardship after the fact is that we're going to be on the roof. We're going to be not only checking out the plants and the drainage and all of the other components of the green roof, but we're also going to be the eyes on the roofing components. So I really look at this is just another way to add additional revenue streams, and kind of a recurring revenue stream by taking on the maintenance on green roofs as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of service and maintenance programs out there that contractors are doing very well. So it all fits right together.
Yep.
So along that lines, as you start putting this team together and you start kind of looking at this, Roxanne, can we talk just a little bit about the importance of making it easy? You know, and I know roofing's never easy, but there are easier and faster ways, and Soprema is right on the cutting edge of that. So how is that working with your new systems, the Tundra Box, and working with contractors to kind of start incorporating this?
Hmm. Well, Green Roof, for whatever reason, have that tag that they are a complicated system. And as Greg mentioned, when you and your team are able to do complete waterproofing or roofing system, the green roof in itself, yes, is a different scope of work, but is quite simple and only requires the knowledge in the system. So within Suprema and Supper Nature, knowing that green roofing was becoming more and more important on the market, we really defined our system and designed our product to make it as simple as possible. So reducing the number of different products that need to be installed in order to have a very efficient driving green roof was the one thing. And then on our side, it was to make sure that at the specification level, when they are designing a green roof, they have access to all the technical documents, all of the specification documents, so that they can design a green roof that is exactly what they need to achieve. And then we are giving training and technical support to our installers. So for example, in Canada, whenever we have either a roofing company or a landscaping company that comes to us wanting to bid on a project in order to win it and install for the first time, we will be right there with them, as well as after the install is done, to make sure that the maintenance is accurate, because in difference with a roofing system, it's not more complicated, but we always have to remember that it is a living system. So it's not something that you install, leave, and you come back 15 years later and everything is the same. It will have changed, the plants will have changed, it will have evolved. So you really need to be there. But Suprema and Supper Nature, in simplifying the systems and making the technical details and technical support available, is really to make the workmanship and the bidding process and everything easier on the contractors, so that this kind of feeling that roofing companies will get, say, oh my God, there's a green roof on this. I don't want it, and try to get it out of the scope of work. Like Greg says, it's kind of embrace it. Oh yeah, there's a green roof, so it's just add a work. Then we get to be there and get the whole scope in our bank and to see it thrive. And it's a good thing, and it's one of the reasons why maybe having someone in-house that likes plants, that likes vegetation, might be a great asset. If you have someone that's kind of not a tree hugger, because maybe it's not the right term to use to get people's attention, it has kind of a negative effect, but it's true that you kind of need to like plants and vegetation and environment to want to go and make sure that whatever was installed will be there. But definitely, both the technical support and the warranty support that we have within Suprema, because we do provide both the waterproofing roofing system and green roof system, is kind of a whole consultant service that can definitely make it easier for any roofing team to kind of get into this business.
And you know, the other thing too that I see with this is the fact of how modular it is. So being able to have that modular installation, where obviously the roof goes down on the Suprema roof that is so watertight and high performance, but then to have the modular system go on top, that really does make it a lot easier for the contractors.
Yeah, the modular system, our Tundra box, does make it easy to install. It's fairly simple when the designers do it as well. It's definitely a foolproof system. You know, you get there and everything is in that module. You have the drainage component, the green roof media, and the plants. And because you do not have to handle the plants, it makes for a greater survivability of the vegetation.
Mm-hmm.
We can have a debate about how cost effective it can be or not, and how much it has of an impact in added biodiversity or added water retention. But for small projects, you know, that do not have a high visibility, the modular system might be a great way to start, because it is actually highly easier to install. Yes.
Yeah.
After a
No, and
while, when you get into this, it's not as easier than any type of system, because once you get to know your work, you know, and get to know how to install, and your team knows that installing an extensive green roof where you unroll uh, stopper barrier, the root block, and the drainage, and you spread the growing media is also quite easy.
yeah. Well, and let's talk about that a little bit in that you know, how this is a system for all contractors, like you've been talking about. So how do contractors kind of get involved with this? What are some of the benefits that you can share with them to be involved with the system?
To be involved with the system, I
Well,
guess that,
yeah.
yeah. Maybe Greg, you'll add to what I say. You being a contractor, or maybe you want to start with this one, and I'll add to it. You being a contractor doing green roofs.
Well, I think you know you alluded to the Tundra box, and I think it's a great system. I don't think it's a one size fits all, but I think it is a system that can uh, be a good entry level system to try. You know, kind of for a contractor that wants to try green roofs out. This may be the way to kind of dip their toe in the water a little bit and see if it's even up their alley. Um, but even the more complicated systems, the deeper systems are not they're not extremely hard. I mean, they take coordination, they take some planning, just like doing a good roof. Um, I think looking at a company like Soprema, with there's excellent technical support, not only on the front end from a sales and technical side on the pre-design or design side, but on the installation side too. There are a lot of resources at the contractor's disposal to be able to leverage a manufacturer relationship like Soprema and really take that to the next level and lean on them. I mean, that's what they're there for.
Hmm. And it's for a roofing contractor to take the scope of the full work. I think that one of the incentive is to know that whoever installs on your roofing membrane, you know how they work. You know that the way that the work is done when they are walking over that waterproofing or that roofing is not going to be a risk to your waterproofing, because your warranty will have to cover this. So it's really a way to make sure that whatever is installed as overburden on top of your roofing system is done correctly. So it can be done in-house if you have your own team. We really encourage roofing contractors that do not want to install green roofs to build strong relationship with green roof installers, so that they trust them, they trust their team, because they will be the one walking on your roof and handling tools and installing a lot of overburden on this. So it's really a trusting relationship with your green roof installers, or having feeling safer by doing it in-house.
That's perfect. And I think that's, Greg, I kind of just want to go back to that. Obviously, we're talking a little bit about some of these newer systems, but really it comes down to what you're talking about is that technical support and that training on whatever system you may be using for a green roof.
Yeah, and I think there's organizations like Green Roofs for Healthy Cities. I mean, the NRCA's got a great vegetated roof manual. I think those are, those are resources that are pretty readily available, and it just really takes someone to read it. And I think, the other option is to, collaborate or forge a relationship with a local landscape contractor or green roof contractor, and either you guys do a divide and conquer, and there may be a handoff from let's say above the insulation. If it's an inverted system, maybe everything above the insulation is the green roof contractor, and everything below is the roofing or waterproofing contractor. There's all kinds of different ways of trying it out. But I think, just like anything new, maybe not jumping into it 100%, but trying it out and trying small projects, or, as I said, collaborate. And if it seems like the right fit, then either start your own division or buy a landscape contractor that's doing the work. So.
Well, and I don't know if everyone always thought about in the past, or at least I haven't really thought about it, what a great opportunity for the service and maintenance, like you talked about before, because there's nothing worse than walking up to a green roof that's not green. And so, I mean, obviously during the winter, it's not going to be green the whole time, but really that to be partnered with a landscape professionals to really be able to maintain that roof and keep it beautiful, that is a huge benefit to the building owner.
Absolutely. I've been on a lot of very, very dead roofs. And I make my living on resurrecting those. And they're, it's a challenge, but I also look at the amount of neglect, innocent neglect that the building owner or association or whatever the entity may be, they don't have a lot of knowledge of what they have up there. And with a little bit of education and a good sales person, they can definitely sell them a package that not only covers them on the green side in terms of stewardship or maintenance, but also taking care of that roof and the terminations, the sealant joint, the caulking joints, all of that stuff. I mean, those are, I see more warranties voided because the lack of education or the lack of, or the like I say, the innocent ignorance from building owners, that I think it's incumbent upon us as an industry, both green and roofing, that to educate the customer. Because to your point, a dead roof, it goes a long ways in terms of a black mark on in the industry. So I think the more we can keep things green and looking good, the better.
I agree. And, one of the things too, and Roxanne, as we kind of look at this, I think one of the things that is interesting too is as roofing companies take on these green divisions or kind of look at different things, they're going to be talking to a lot of building owners, maybe city managers, facility managers, all of those folks. What are some of the key environmental impacts that they should be sharing with these decision makers as they are kind of starting to maybe even sell green roofs or getting on the specs or whatever that may be?
Mm-hmm. Well, the benefits of green roofs are becoming pretty well known. We know all that they can attend to, and like Greg said, there's a lot of very dead roofs there because of a lack of maintenance. And if you want a green roof to bring the benefits and all of the ecosystem services that it was designed for, it does need to be alive and it does need to be maintained. So whenever I talk with a client or a promoter and they start discussing green roofs, I always inquire about project specifics. What's your incentive? Why are you thinking about a green roof? Who will have access? What's the project? Because those benefits, whether they are on a high-rise downtown Toronto or they are on a warehouse in Brantford, Ontario, or somewhere that is maybe further off from an urban city, the benefits are the same. So if we want to convince a promoter or a building owner that a green roof fits his project, we need to make sure what the project is. So for example, I'm going to take this as an example. The picture that we're looking at right now is an urban rooftop garden. So This is on top of a grocery store. And initially, the project was designed because this was a mandated green roof. And when we hear mandated, we immediately think, and this is usually what happens, least expensive, less maintenance as possible, as little maintenance as possible, because they have to do it, they will have to put the money forth. So this green roof was mandated, so was designed uh, without talking with the building owner, without talking to the promoters, as the simplest green roof possible. But then when the project was given to a contractor and that this contractor started talking with the promoter, the discussion was engaged in the fact that you do have to have a green roof. Wouldn't you want it to have a greater impact on your business rather than just attain some policy that you need to get, you know, and it will just be sitting there and it will bring you nothing more than the basic that it can do. So minimum water retention, minimum mitigation of urban heat island effect. So in this case, because this was a grocery store, then the owner said, yeah, maybe we could do something more. What do you propose? And then the contractor, well, you're a grocery store. Why don't we cultivate vegetable on the roof? You sell them in the grocery store and you will have your mandated green roof and you will have added value to this green roof. So this project gathered so much media attention, gathered so much clients that would come out of curiosity first in the grocery store, and also because the fresh produce travels like 50 feet. Right? They harvest it in the morning and then they walk it down because they don't even have an elevator. They walk it down to the grocery store and they sell it that same day. So this was a project that happened because there was a collaboration and there was discussion and there were questioning about what added value we can bring to the project. Yes, you need to have a green roof on this and you have no way of getting around with it. So why not do something great? You know, why not do something that fits your need, that fits the area where you live, that might create added value for the social infrastructure that's around? Maybe there are schools, maybe there are low-income residents that could get food from this. So I think that not only your building, but the surrounding and the purpose of the whole project is definitely something that needs to be discussed prior. You know, collaboration is definitely the key in order to get a great project and not only be the less money and less maintenance as possible because we have to do that roof.
You know, I love that. And when you think about the branding and the marketing for that roofing contractor who worked in collaboration, came up with such an amazing project. I mean, this is just so cool to do this on top of a supermarket. That is, I mean, that really starts differentiating not just the contractor, but also the building owner and everybody else, the store,
Mm-hmm.
the grocery store who are putting this together.
Yeah, definitely. And now this grocery store owner, this is a chain. So now they're wanting to have this over all of their grocery stores, right?
I
Yeah.
love it.
Mm-hmm.
And it would seem too, and I mean, I know you have this as a point up here too, but just looking at what they're doing with the green roofing, that does help so much with indoor and outdoor the environments overall. What are you seeing there?
Well, yeah, the indoor environment is one thing. It depends on the type of roof that you have, but you can see in the background there in the picture that there's residential units. So instead of looking at a white roof, they are looking at a beautiful green roof. So
Yeah.
it's not, this is why I say it's not only for your building. Yes, we can talk about energy savings in the summer. Mostly in the summer, green roof will help to save a lot of energy in air cooling, air climatization. Uh, it purifies air that's right above the ground, right above the roof. It has a lot of great environmental impacts both within and outside of the building for sure. So this is why the project shouldn't concern only the building and the building structure, but also the surrounding.
Yeah, that is wow, really cool. So as contractors are looking at this and as they are working on these fabulous projects, I think one of the things too is there always has to be this opportunity to work with the design community and kind of figure out what this happened. And Greg, you do this all the time. So kind of talk about how contractors should be, getting involved with the design community, working with them. How does that, what's some advice?
Sure. I think it starts at, from a networking standpoint, it starts at the beginning in terms of going to or joining AIA, CSI, some of the local chapters, building, BEC or whatever local entities may be in their region. I think that's a great networking opportunity. And then ultimately become the subject matter expert. I mean, be the go-to. Like I get architects that call us all the time and say, what should we do or how should we detail such and such project, and it definitely gets us at least it makes us aware of the project from the very beginning. We normally have the leg up on the installation, pricing, and at least or we're going to get the last look. So I think really starting off, at the very beginning when before the project is out of the ground or before the roof is or the green is going on the roof, and that's and then really being that resource and collaborate with designers or architects or landscape architects to help give the knowledge that everybody's learned in the field. Because a lot of times we see, and I'm sure your contractor or your customer base here or your viewer base right now would concur that there's a lot of bad specifications out there, and I don't think things are done egregiously or on purpose. I think it's strictly there's a lot of push to get these drawings out, and I've seen projects at 50% completion going out to bid, which really can get quite cumbersome in terms of trying to at least give an accurate price. And
Right.
I think having that dialogue during those exercises really would help out long term, and ultimately kind of maybe even lower the cost of the green roof. And I think that's the other problem right now is that everybody thinks green roofs are expensive, and they can be, and they can be double the price of a normal membrane, maybe even sometimes triple depending on the scope. But that being said, you're looking at building a resilient structure that's going to last a long time, and to me, that speaks volumes over the initial cost.
Yeah, I think and one of the things you really make me think about too is how important it is for contractors to work closely with their manufacturer's rep. Yes. Because they're the ones who a lot of times have those relationships with the architects, with the design, and also understand what's going on with pricing and the value opportunity. So that seems to me that is really not only being involved in AIA, but being involved with your manufacturers.
Sure.
So as you're looking at that, and as we're going through that, I think, one of the things that we want to talk about too is that it's not just about it's not just about talking about it or selling it. It's really about living it. And so one of the things that I had asked, because I think this is really important for all of the roofing businesses out there, is to really kind of have this opportunity to see what are other people doing. And we've had RLWs before where we've really talked about Soprema's commitment. And so Tom, I would love for you to kind of share what Soprema's doing on the sustainability and really your commitment to continuing that with all these different kinds of very sustainable systems.
Yeah, thanks, Heidi. That's a great question. Yeah, Soprema's more engaged in sustainability more than just the products level, as you talked about. We really engage our employees. We have a company recycling program that the companies manage within the company. Also, if you're with the company for more than 20 years, they actually plant a tree on the property in your name.
Oh,
So we're actually
cool.
giving back to not only the community, but the environment by trying to do that. And so we have an upcoming renovation to our corporate office in Wadsworth, Ohio, and they're actually planning for and trying to find out how to transplant and move the trees that we've already planted. So it's an ongoing commitment. It's not just something that we take lightly, and we take it all the way through all of our processes. Then in our manufacturing process, we're actually an ISO 14001 certified manufacturer, which means that we incorporate sustainable and recycling type projects into our manufacturing process. So we not only recycle, but we repurpose materials as much as possible in our process to reuse and be efficient, and just think about the environment overall when we're planning our projects. And then lastly, we work on it through our product development, and this is probably the biggest phase that I'm involved with. We think about this in sustainability, recycled content, and just overall health benefits of products and projects as we go through. Case in point is we work with and own a company called ChemLink out of Michigan, pretty close to where you live, Greg, there. And they make a lot of VOC and environmentally friendly adhesives and sealants. And so we're really investigating and pouring money into that development and research to try to make sure that we're bringing safe and cost-effective and well-performing materials to the market. Additionally, mod bit systems are known for their longevity, so we really try to engineer our roofing systems to go along with our green roofing systems to stand the test of time and really last. And so we think durability and longevity of your roofing system is one way to really think about sustainability when you're building a roofing system, not only a green roof, but just a roof in general. And then some of our other products, we have a product called Mammoth Neo, which is a modified bitumen membrane, but it also incorporates 75% canola oil into the product. So instead of using your normal type fossil fuel oils, we're using environmentally friendly or different products like that that we're incorporating into our products. And then lastly, of course, last but not least is our Soprema line, right? That's an entire product line that Soprema has that revolves around the green roofing industry and vegetative roofing. And then our Tundra Box product is probably our newest and flagship product for the product line. It's a modular system. I think you showed a picture of it a couple slides back. And it's our newest product that we've brought to the market. And that's how Soprema tries to incorporate. We not only try to talk about sustainability, but we try to incorporate it in all three phases of our company, through our employees, our manufacturing process, and then also the products that we bring to market.
I think there is so much that contractors can do with you on this type of initiative. So just like with what Soprema is doing, making it the culture through the core values of the company, that, and just coming from a marketing side of it, for roofing contractors to be able to bring that kind of commitment in their companies, it shines out to the design community and to building owners and to customers. Have you kind of seen that it really kind of starts building on itself as the word gets out about this kind of commitment to sustainability?
Yeah, absolutely. People want to embrace it. You see companies like Amazon, right, who are talking about having global initiatives to reduce their carbon footprint. And so it is getting to all levels of the industry and becoming more important. And I think people see it just because as we're growing as a society, land becomes less and less available, right? And you see pollution and all the other effects rising. And so we have to mitigate and work through those things. And so we try to do it through products, but we know that we can't just make the product sustainable and put the marketing tagline on it, right? It really has to provide a benefit and do something of value to the customer and for the contractor. Because most people, myself included, aren't going to move to something that we quote unquote call sustainable if it doesn't provide some type of benefit additionally. So it's really about the manufacturers, the contractors, the building designers all working together to understand what's available in the market and then how to best use these products to achieve the goal. Like Roxanne said, with the design of that green roof where they put the farm on top of the grocery store, right? So talking about it and really working through the process. So instead of just checking a box and saying, yep, got my compliance green roof or got my waterproofing done, really thinking about, does this serve the need? Will this roof last the test of time for how we're using it? Will this green roof last for how we're using it? And build things with longevity in mind. In my opinion, sustainability starts with building something that's going to last a long time and not something we use for a couple years and then throw away. So that's probably the best way all of us can be sustainable is, making quality materials and systems.
Yeah. And then installing it in sustainable ways and being able to work with the design community to really bring new and innovation there. I agree 100%. And I have to tell you, I think this kind of really, this is cutting edge. It doesn't seem like it because we've been going to green build. Well, I went to green build 20 years ago, right? When everyone was this was such a topic. So it's nothing that's going away, but it's still it becomes more and more important, especially as Roxanne was saying, when we're dealing with stormwater and the extreme weather and everything else that's going on.
Right.
So
it's about capitalizing on all the benefits, right? And so like Roxanne talked about those, most people think about green roofing as just, hey, it looks nice. They don't think about all the other benefits it can provide. Protecting your roof membrane from UV damage is going to increase the life of it, right? And so when you put a green roof on top, you're doing that. And then also the stormwater we hit upon. So there's lots of benefits to green roofing or vegetative roofing aside from just the aesthetics.
Yeah, I see that. That's great. Well, we are ready for questions. So we're going to move on to questions. And Greg and Roxanne and Tom, I have a number of questions, so I'm very excited about that. We have had a lot of interest out here from everyone, so I'm just going to pull this up and start at the very top. One of the first questions went back to what you were talking about, Greg, and actually this is probably for all of you. The first question that came in was, how do you mitigate the engineering and weight loads if a customer wants to investigate a green roof? So
great question. I think,
great, Greg.
I think if you're looking at a retrofit project and not a new, newly designed building, which would be incumbent upon the architect and structural engineer to make sure that the new building would have the weight capacity to handle the additional load. But we get involved in a lot of retrofit projects, whether it be residential or commercial or even multifamily buildings. And that's the first and foremost thing is to retain or have the owner retain a structural engineer to do that study, to do that structural study, to determine what, if any, additional load is available for that structure. And from there, you can determine then, okay, well, if the building has X amount of additional load, then go to a design professional or a green roof professional to help design a system, or go to Soprema and design a system that's lightweight enough to accommodate whatever that load restriction or capacity is. However, if there isn't an additional load, then the only other option would be structurally shoring up or adding additional structural members or beams or columns or all of the above to help mitigate the additional load. And that definitely would be involved with a structural engineer, a building envelope consultant, or all of the above.
It really comes down to building your network of experts around green roofing.
Right.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So speaking of that, the next question is, are there companies that could act as a small contractor green roof division? So maybe partnering with other smaller businesses? What have you seen there, Greg?
I mean, working with roofers is something that we do in markets, and we can provide as little or as stripped down services as kind of being the project manager for the day, and more or less go over the project prior to in the installation, but also be on the roof to monitor the installation, have the roofing contractor use their people, their resources to build it, but making sure that it's being built correctly, that it's being detailed correctly. And normally that's kind of a one, it's not a long-term commitment, in terms of my relationship with the roofer. Once they kind of get familiar with what needs to be done, it's usually a 1 or 2 type project scenario. And then they're like, okay, thanks a lot. I'll call you if I need you. And that's fine. But to me, it's a way to make sure that everybody's comfortable in what they're doing and how it's going in, and then then they kind of graduate to the next level.
That makes sense. So again, building that network. The next question is, how do you manage replacements and handle roof inspections? So Greg, I think we're coming back to you again.
Well, I mean, I could go back to warranty too in terms of Soprema. I mean, I think if it's a single source warranty, it really kind of falls back into the Soprema side, and they would be notified, and then they would then dispatch the appropriate staff or personnel. And Tom, you can probably comment on in terms of what that procedure is, but normally it would be some sort of a technical rep from Soprema, and they would collaborate or work with a contractor like us and possibly the roofer, or both. We would uncover the overburden, or the roofer may uncover the overburden to then find or try to track down the leak.
Yeah, I would agree with what you said, Greg, and it really comes down to was Soprema there to just install the waterproofing, or did Soprema also handle the vegetative, and then collaboratively working together with whoever did install it if we didn't? We would have our own field technical group would be involved in inspecting and making whatever suggestions are needed to do the repair. And like Greg said, it'll depend on who really installed it and the warranty to who has to uncover it and remove the overburden or the green roofing portion to get to whatever waterproofing defects may or may not be there.
So really important to have those relationships beforehand and to know
Absolutely.
who you're working with.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Otherwise, you get into a lot of finger pointing.
Yeah,
So
which nobody wants right now.
To do that up front.
Yeah, no time for that. Well, good, because this next question kind of goes along the same lines. It says, how would you suggest handling warranties if the plants on the roof do not survive and need to be replanted? So I'm not sure if that, Roxanne, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Yeah.
When we talk, yeah, well, this is kind of a discussion that we have with numerous specifiers and clients, because in fact the vegetation is usually the responsibility of the installer, because it can be, even if the vegetation is to be sent to site in perfectly good condition, once it is planted, if it's not watered properly, if it's not maintained at all, and it dies down, it can't be the manufacturer's fault. This is solely relating to the maintenance. So we clearly state in our specification document that a 2-year maintenance should be included in the tender process, and that this maintenance will ensure a warranty on plants for the first 2 years. After those first 2 years, that should be covered by the warranty from the installer. It will be a yearly contract with a maintenance company that will ensure that the vegetation performs as it should. Maybe you have something to add to that, Greg?
No, I think it's pretty accurate. I mean, I think, but I think it also goes to the point of we talked about it at the very beginning in terms of the business opportunity there. You look at, if you can lock in a 2 or 3 year agreement, and either build that into your front end bid or give them a line item for the maintenance and really tie the owner to that if you don't maintain it or they do not opt to go with the maintenance, then the warranty is essentially null and void. But I think there can be a lot of finger pointing if there isn't a clear delineation of who is responsible for the plants after they're installed. And and sometimes on the more intensive roofs where there's trees and irrigation and maybe even out landscape lighting and all that, it may require to hire a landscape professional to help be involved in the project and or at least maintain it after it is installed.
Yeah,
That's
there
really
are a
good.
lot of companies out there that will do mostly maintenance. When I got into the business 12, 15 years ago, I quickly realized that maintenance is an ongoing income. So it's a contract that you can renew every year. So if you are to include in your company a green roof division, to have a part of that division or a couple of people that only do maintenance is definitely a plus, because you will have any way to provide those first 2 years with maintenance. You will need to have people that go, and because not a lot of contractors build that into their companies, there are a lot of projects there. I have a lot of clients calling me only for maintenance contractors, and
Wow.
not many of them do this. Yeah, so it's definitely something to look at if you have. And it's also, the planting and the green roof is not the part that takes the most time. So if you hire a horticulturist or you hire a landscaper or a landscaping company mostly for planting, then if you supply also work with maintenance, it will make sure that you have ongoing work for that team.
That is great. That's a great answer to a really great question. Thank you. This is the last question, and since this is a question for Tom, but I think you may all want to put something in here. Is there materials that a contractor should use or not use for a root barrier to protect the waterproofing components of the roof?
Absolutely. We always recommend that you use a root barrier or some type of protection material to keep from the roots getting into your waterproofing membrane and opening up any potential seams or just damage in general when you're placing the green roofing media or the plants on the roof and you're moving things around, that you don't damage the waterproofing membrane. So it's just going to be another layer of protection that's a good idea to always add. We have a root barrier product that we suggest and put into the market, but there's a lot of acceptable and good ones out there as well. But we would definitely recommend that adding one is always a good idea. And we really believe in the redundancy of not only our waterproofing systems, but just our other systems in general. If you want it to last and last a long time, it's good to have redundant measures, your belt and your suspenders, right? It's going to help keep your pants up.
That's a good way to put it. Well, we are right at the end of our hour. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you for your great questions. That was just excellent. And I really want to thank Tom, Greg, and Roxanne for taking the time to really help shine some light, some sunlight on this great topic. And I have to tell you, my favorite part was the vegetable garden on top of the supermarket. That was pretty cool. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And for everyone listening, if you want more information on what Soprema is doing, of course, you can find it on Roofers Coffee Shop in their directory. Chemlink also has a directory on the site. So a lot of this information that you heard today is going to be there. So please visit the directories, read the articles, check out all the information, the videos, and then of course, from there, you can get to the Soprema website and get in touch with all of these different folks to ask questions, to become more involved, because we all know that we need more sustainability. So this is a great way for the roofing industry to continue giving back as it always has. I would like to thank you again. This has been recorded and you will be able to get it online within the next 24 hours to share. If you have any questions that weren't answered today, please feel free to email us at Roofers Coffee Shop and we will connect you with the Soprema team. Finally, I want to invite all of you to back October 27th is our next RLW, and we are going to be having the experts from SASHCO on the line, but with a very special guest. Wendy Marvin with Matrix Roofing is going to be talking about how to incorporate a lot of different products and a lot of different ideas into expanding your business from roofing to overall exteriors and home improvement. It's really going to be an excellent topic, another great way to differentiate your business just like today. So be sure to join us on October 27th at 11 o'clock. And finally, I would just like to say thank you to all of you again, Tom, Greg, and Roxanne. Thank you so much for being here today, and thank you all for listening. Have a great day.